All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Beastars Season 1, Episode 10.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Are we changing genres?
I think, if anything, what we are seeing here is like a cool, more in context, effective version of the Code Geass Season 1 finale. You don't deserve to protect these people. I'll look after Hara. Legoshi! You know?
And that was
good.
That was last episode.
So good.
And now we need to see what's gonna happen. What is Legoshi gonna do? What's Louis gonna do?
Yep.
What's gonna happen to Haru? Are we going to get a wolf hunting, thing that storms the gates and that would be awesome?
I don't know, but whatever way we do this, I want Haru to remain in the show and the story because I am excited for her character stuff.
I think I have an idea.
You have an idea?
Yes. We have some avians that are friends of Legoshi's. Haru is very small. Infiltration. They go inside.
Speed.
They get
Alba's
Haru.
like, I am speed.
Yeah, no, literally. Legoshi goes
Instantly
in.
pounced by a lion.
No, but they bust through. Legoshi gets Haru, runs out, and they're on his tail. And then he gives Haru to Alba. Alba just flies away, right? And then it's Legoshi is now in danger because, there's lions and he's just one dude and stuff.
If that's the case, then I would love to see Louis try and utilize some measure of his political influence to basically kind of cuck the lions and basically be nope. Legoshi's under my protection. And it's kind of him basically being like, hey, Louis, hey, Legoshi, I'm still with you.
Right. But
I have my path to ascension, planned out, and I do need to work towards that, and I can't do anything to be contrary to that. But you're my friend. But we have to wait and see.
Yep.
But not much longer. So y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right into this now.
On the wild side,
Just was sleep through my whole life. Sometimes wearing buffalo style. Sometimes got a rock and roll mind. Isn't it wonderful, my life? Please could you kiss my name when the music's over? Turn out the lights, it's been such a sweet time. And would you pray for me? Let's start the overtime. Running through the night, going through the blue time. You heard that scream and shout in your mind. Going through the shine, go over to the shooting stars. And all I was talking about was music. And that's called jazz!
Okay.
Mikado and Cowboy Bebop are
right.
Other amazing shows that start with the letter B that,
yeah.
Well, Cowboy Bebop, but anyway, details. Jazz.
Okay.
Cover you with my smooth jazz. Oh, we're here. Okay. Tracking. He's going solo so far.
You know what I love about this? He is going through here, and he is not having trouble at all with the other meat that's all around him.
He's focused. He's smelling a specific scent, yeah.
The hell? Yeah.
Whoa, they all...
Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh man. They'll find you. Oh, yeah,
of course.
They're like, yeah, this kid will be dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
Hey!
Yes, the panda, please.
Yeah! Hell yeah!
Gohi. I was just gonna call you Thorkel, but you know that. Yeah. 35. All right, we got a number. All right.
聞いてたか俺の話何のつもりか知らねえが死ぬぞとっくに食われちまってるよ
God, I love this Gohin. He's so badass. Do the fist clench. Do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
全部償って万が一俺が生きてたら告白できたらまあ無理かなクソガキ勝手にしろ
I don't care. I don't care.
He's thinking. Oh.
なんで
私が何も知らないと思ってるなら大間違いです。弁護士先輩どこ行ったんですか。
もう戻ってこないかもしれない。
Wow.
すまないジュノン。俺は何も止められなかった。
Okay.
今夜死ぬかもしれない。
Oh shit.
おじさんたち猫科はな。君ら犬科のこと。
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. No.
All right.
くせに尻尾フリフリお手ワンワンでどうにもしない。まさか。確実に。こいつはハルちゃんに。ああ、もしかしてあのウサギを助けに来たのか。だったら50の塔の一番上だ。少し遅かったな。あの子に会いたいならゲロ吐かすしかねえぞ。胃袋の中で。あの子がまだ消化されていない。
Oh, this is beautiful.
All right. All right.
Oh my god, I have chills, man. My hands are shaking. My hands are shaking, dude. Oh.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Whoa!
あの子の血の匂いを吸っている。ハルちゃんは俺のものだ。ハルちゃんは俺の獲物だ。ほら。
Oh shit.
俺の獲物
Oh no.
Shit. Oh, Lugoshi. Crap.
ぶち殺してやれ。
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah.
He's like, damn it.
Yeah.
猫狩りに合う。
Oh man.
見てらんねえよまったく。こんな命がけの告白があるか。いいか。次は必ず首を狙い。
With the gun.
All right.
Oh, no, bite. Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. It's really good that the
生まれた恋。
you know, they haven't responded because of the gunshot.
Uh-huh. They're probably going too soon.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah, this
Look
is
at
so
this.
cool.
人のは価値がある分、自分はしんどいもんだ。
Oh.
そうだ。
All right.
獣を飼いならせ。
Make it your
世
own.
界の一丁前の男よ。
Oh man.
Jeez.
All right, this is happening. This is giving me such Yakuza vibes right now.
He's still not being
Yeah.
violent though.
I know. You got it, Legoshi.
Oh
I hope
my
Panda
god.
gets out of this.
Oh my god. Oh, yep. There's two
Oh,
of
he
them.
doesn't have his crossbow anymore, though.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
よしいいから上に行け
All
This
right.
is so classic.
All right.
入っちゃ
Oh man.
嫌なところばかり攻めてき
He didn't run ahead.
Oh man. Dude.
まだそんなに経ってない。はるちゃん、はるちゃん、きっと君は生きてるね。
Oh.
体中に筋肉
Oh.
熱いのも
Oh. With it like
Yeah.
the smell. like-
Yeah.
感じるからだ。
Oh.
本能よりももっと手前にある。俺を
Oh my god.
こんな雑魚ども俺一人で十分なんだよ死ぬんじゃねえぞ
All right.
But Louis called it already. Someone's dying
Yeah.
tonight.
Uh-huh.
生意気やが
Yeah, so cocky.
Mhm.
All it's gonna take is one of them to have a gun and just go,
Yep.
what is this kid? And just shoots him. Oh. Or maybe they have a rule of no guns inside or something like that to keep
Maybe.
from infighting or something.
背景ってこういう場合いらない？そもそも背景って何って書くのも
Wow.
私聞く臭くてやだわ。秘書っていうか、
Oh man.
単に自分の人生振り返りたくなったんだよね。
Oh my god.
自らそう
Wait.
を作っていくスタイル。
Is this something to show that she's like willing with this? Like she's
I
actually
think
okay.
so.
私はごく一般的なドワーフウサギの家庭に生まれて、
Okay,
ごく
family.
一般的に愛情を注がれて育ちました。
ドワーフウサギは草食動物の中でもとても弱いの。だから用心するのよ。
どうして？
何かあったらすぐ死んじゃうから。
Whoa. Ugh.
いくら大きくなっても、どの動物も赤ん坊を見るような目で私を見てる。
Ah.
なんで笑ってんの？なんでもない。ありがとう。かわいそうな生き物にはみんな嘘みたいにニコニコして顔を向ける。
Mhm. It's like Sengoku with the, oh, you're so cute, you
Yeah.
know?
ずっと春のことを好きで付き合ってください。
笑ってない。私は見つけてしまった。自分と他の動物が
Wow.
弱者として扱われない嘘のない交流。私はか弱いドワーフウサギではなく、
Yeah.
春として誰かに見てほしかったな。友達が減っても軽蔑されても、私にとってはかわいそうって同情されるよりは全然マシだったのです。くだらないドワーフウサギのくだらない1年間、さようなら。好きになった男の子に本当に言いたいことは言えないまま、
Yeah.
私
Oh.
なんで愛想もなく
This works so well as
Mm-hmm.
何
like a literal event and also kind of what his entrance into her life was like.
Yep.
ただけは哀れむことも同情もせず、いつも私自身を見てくれていた。どうせ死ぬなら最後くらいあなたに
Oh
恥ず
my
かしくない
god.
やりたいな。
屈辱や周知は体内に血を巡らせ
すみませんね。私あなたが能書き垂れてる間、脳内で遺書書いてました。
Oh.
あなた美食家なんですって。申し訳ないけど最悪なディナーになりそうね。悔しくも恥ずかしくもない女の肩合いに行こう。
Yeah.
Oh.
こっちは覚悟できてるんだから。
Oh my god. Oh.
どうやら甘やかしすぎたようだ
Okay. Okay.
まずは耳だ
Oh no 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 no.
And then go for the throat, Legoshi.
助けなんて来ない。
and then blood.
Oh, the music is sweet, like
Yeah.
a romance, like like a little soft piano. Oh. 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 No. Oh. Just the things and the feelings.
That was yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Ah.
All right.
This is a very apropos ED for what this episode was.
Hey. All right. All right.
Oh,
Okay.
This episode was good.
So this is really good. I did not
This is
like
good.
it's both what I expected from the previous episode, but also not what I expected.
Right.
In that, like, it's actually this is what I wanted, and it's also what I didn't know that I wanted. Like,
Right.
because it's kicking down the front door.
It works
and
way too well. It's something where I have to say this right out the gate here. All of my preconceived notions regarding how impossible this should have been is something that I don't really care about, given the level of the drama and character focus that goes into this episode.
Yeah.
So the fact that the wolf, that's the young one, going up against adult lions
with weapons
and guns,
and that he's not actually like tearing their throats out. That was because that was the main thing, I guess, that I was surprised by, is that he would do this while still holding to the sort of the Legoshi that he's decided to be.
You just chalk it up to Gohin is just Panda, you know. Hey, that's not my name.
I was young once, you know. Like, damn it, all this idealism is getting me all fired up. Right. Now, it's like I used to be a passionate person in my other life. Right. Now, he could totally die as a result of this.
This episode is not the end of the night.
It's not the end of the night,
and they haven't gotten out. And you know how this works in video games when you ascend the tower to save the fair maiden. It's not the way up that's the tough part.
It's the way down.
It's the way down when they realize that the methods that they used to stop you on the way up didn't work, so they escalate for when on the way down.
And the fact that you haven't been actually like rendering them, like throwing them down a set of stairs, that's great for being able to keep going, but mob dodging only works for so
when
long.
There's so many of them.
Right.
If
Eventually,
7 of them come,
they
and bust
all
down the
group
door
together as they're chasing you, and and that's probably why Panda especially is going to die, I'm guessing. Jeez. But okay. So
I will say that they set up a little bit of a way that they can get out of this without going all the way down again. In that there is water around the base of the.
That's true.
It's like a pagoda sort of tower, kind of skyscraper building. No, it's not a pagoda. It's or even a remotely kind of shaped like that at all. it's just a tall building.
But there is water around it, right?
99% sure they went across a bridge. Okay. So there's a little bit of form to a pagoda, some kind of pagoda type structure at the top. But when they showed Legoshi coming up to there's a bridge on the way across, and there is a little bit of a river, but there's no way it's going to be that deep.
Maybe they can get some kind of like makeshift rope or something and go out the window. I don't know.
Yeah, or they'll just climb down. I don't know how good a wolf would be at climbing. But anyways, the episode itself is phenomenal. We start off showing Legoshi doing his youthful, optimistic thing and not reading the room regarding that
Where's the Leo group?
People are like, are you crazy? Like, is this guy just trying to die? Like, I don't get it. So they all back away, and I love that we have the whole world building thing of two other people who are like, dude, we could just skin this idiot. Like,
right, exactly. Yeah.
And Legoshi, like, nearly got killed. Thankfully, Gohin, like, he awesome. Keeps a good watch on his turf.
Right.
And
wait, there's a wolf going around asking about the oh god.
He's like, oh my god.
I'm pretty sure I know.
Yeah, it does.
But
oh my god.
Oh man. But okay. The fact that Legoshi was going through the dark market and he wasn't like there was nothing of the meat around him that was like that was like getting his attention. Like I love that. It's a little detail, and maybe it's also something that like you almost
wasn't
afford
being
to have.
Shown,
right. It wasn't being shown, and so I love that, and the fact that later he has that sort of Freudian slip of she's my prey, and then it's like, wait, what? Like, I love that because it's because then it's something where it's in the realm of he actually has to make the choice, right? Because he knows that there's that part of him where it could end up just being that. So it's something where he has to actively decide what he's going to do.
But it's so powerful in the idea that his character has been one that is not having the beast tamed. It's the beast is suppressed.
Right.
So he's hunched over. But then when he, when he
taming is a different
scent,
thing.
He basically is lashing his own will to the beast's neck and saying, you will serve me, I will not serve you. And then we see him doing the whole like possessed kind of twitching and stuff. But it's the opposite of the visual hunching forward thing. It's the
stretching and
I am writhing with the power of being able to let loose this monster within him. But that's natural. In some ways, this is a very, I would say, very powerful message of some level of, I don't know, some message of something with regards to people, regarding the fact that we are all capable of doing monstrous things.
Sure.
But there's so much of us that is sometimes put into the effort of just quelling who we are, that we don't want to make any kind of a mistake. But if we're willing to just kind of let it loose, you can just breathe that in and realize that's something I can tap into to make myself more effective and powerful. But I don't have to be scary with that.
Right. There are reasons why we are the way we are. And the bad things that happen is when something that we have about ourselves is misapplied, usually. Not that it inherently, in every circumstance, is bad, right?
Exactly.
So in this situation here, even though, you might ask why the lion didn't just shoot Legoshi while he's, whatever, the romance of it, like this is a moment that's happening for Legoshi and it's important and it's powerful. And here we go, right? And this is, but the thing is that it's not what it could have been expected to be, because he didn't tear his throat out. Now, maybe he would have, if not for the fact that he said, she's my prey, and then that made him go like, whoa, hold on, but that is something that I think is really important to bring up, because normally I would have thought that this would be the situation where, this is where you definitely need to tear some throats out. Like,
possibly,
don't hold back. That'll get you killed. That'll get Haru killed. That'll get Panda killed. Like,
The question is, would he have then been able to continue on? Would he have then just stayed here and in some ways been so just high off of the experience of, I did it. I actually let this thing allow me to, you know, bite in and sink my teeth into it, and I liked it.
Right.
And yeah, who knows?
Like,
It'd be a different Legoshi,
right.
I think, at that
Exactly.
point.
I feel like that's something where he's basically, he was truly doing battle with his inner beast there, and
Right.
he won there because he was basically saying it's going to be Legoshi that goes and saves Haru, not like Legoshi the person, the student, the friend, not Legoshi the wolf, right?
I think that this is something that's kind of powerful within the idea also of, you know, them all being different species of animals, is that because they have sentience and because they have individuality, you know, outside of being just, you know, a ball of instincts, you see so many of them at different times trying to transcend
Right.
their species, their limitations, if you will,
Yeah.
via learning things from others. But oftentimes the way to start is not doing that. Just master what you have internally. Start there. Because a lot of times all that other stuff just ends up being distractions where you're focused on trying to be like other people.
Sure.
You can't actually be like other people.
Yeah,
So this
you
was
can only be you.
This was Legoshi being in some ways the picture of what Louis wants to be, but
Right.
constantly has to take on all these other aspects that aren't necessarily in his nature.
Right. And right, exactly. This felt
Yeah.
like Legoshi figuring out what kind of wolf he was going to be, right? In balance, like because that's the point. It's balance with that side. It's not, you know, it's not just being like, okay, this is where I let it loose and then it just runs wild.
Yep.
It's no, okay. Within myself and still being myself, I will also be a wolf, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so it's
I loved the way the interaction in the conversation between the lion and Legoshi on the bridge went down. Just the idea of him dropping a little bit of exposition of like, yeah, you canines? Oh my
hate
god. Like
Yeah.
the fact that you are terrifyingly ferocious and yet you will put up such a show
yeah.
for everyone else, making you so likable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, jeez, it's disgusting.
And
And then the way all this, which is talking down in a really just disgusting way to Legoshi, is not anything to rile him up.
right.
He's like, Legoshi doesn't even care at that point. Then he smells Haru's scent, and that's what sets him off. And it's slow. And the way that the lion basically is gloating, just like, I've got a gun pointed at you and I am at a fair distance.
Right.
I am not afraid of you at all. Hell, you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like, why should I be worried about you? And then him doing all this writing stuff, he could be like, because, you know, the color and all that is for the dramatic, you know, representation of it. You know, he's just like, oh, yeah, writhe in frustration. What are you going to do? Nothing. And yeah, he didn't shoot him because I don't think he was, you know, threatened at that point there. But then there's this point here where he lowers his head and he goes into like, I'm about to pounce.
Right.
And that slight bit of hesitation where he's like, wait a minute. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
I don't think I resolved in my mind to do something if he was crazy. Like in my mind, because I'm sure from his perspective,
Yeah,
he's like,
it
this is
unsettled him just enough.
just enough to where he was able then to lunge past his guard.
And he shot his ear off.
The fact that they went with that angle with the gun where it actually hit something, like, okay. And a lot of times in these types of stories, when a gun is brought into things, it's either completely ineffective or it's just there to instantly kill someone and do nothing else.
Yeah, it's a plot device to either kill someone or make it be like, these guys are bad. You
But
know,
then
this guy's
it actually
dangerous.
does nothing. The fact that he shot off the lion's ear with it there was the perfect, I would say, shocking thing to remind us how violent this can get so quickly. And yet people don't have to die necessarily.
Right.
That's, I think, something that's equally terrifying with where our minds are at with regards to Haru, is that it's not necessarily whether or not she's going to die, it's what kind of violence or shame or just brutality is going to be inflicted on her in the meantime. And just how shocked he is by the fact that you know, this whole thing is happening, and yet he's still gloating like, no, Haru belongs to me, she's my prey, right as he's about to bite his neck out. And then
he's like, wait,
Haru's my prey?
Hold on a second. Yeah.
She's my prey?
I love also how quickly he just jumped on him like, oh,
Yeah.
you hesitated? I felt your grip relax?
Yep.
I'm gonna beat you senseless.
Right.
That looked painful.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
because
holy
Legoshi,
crap.
you are out of your league here. You don't want to mess with these guys. Like, if not for Panda, you would be dead 3 times over by now. And that part where
he lifts it up.
Reaches out the hand and like
on the bridge.
Oh man,
tame the beast inside
so
of
good.
you.
Right,
and then just glorious visuals. Everything within this whole sequence here.
This felt so Yakuza. Oh my god!
Dude.
This was.
I can definitely see how the lions feel very like Yakuza in that regard. But like Legoshi's entrance and all of this feels very much like it as well.
Let's just say that there was a very particular song from the OST of Yakuza 0 that was just like playing in my head while this was going on. Just like, oh yeah. But this was absolutely wonderful. Like,
also, I gotta say something that's rather interesting is when he smells Haru, the other lion here, where he's like, just kind of about to beat on him. It's like, oh, that's creepy. I liked that from another perspective here. The lion notes how creepy this is, because this is part of the thing that I think is rather interesting about immature love in this regard here. Legoshi doesn't understand his own feelings here.
Right. Yeah.
He is very confused and just running on pure adrenaline at this point.
Yep.
But the fact that her smell, I know we are in an environment where we've got animals here, so that the scent is more of a play within regards to things.
Especially for a wolf, yeah.
Especially for a canine of any kind, yeah. It's kind of interesting to note that from another perspective, what Legoshi's doing is very creepy, actually. Just the fact of how obsessed he is with her. Even Gohin notes, why are you risking your own life for someone you love? And we initially go, that's romantic and noble, right? Right? Like, that's something that we kind of put towards the typical hero, is we go, that's what you're supposed to do. And yet, we're having an instance here where it's like, oh, all you need is a little shift in perspective, and suddenly it comes off actually a bit obsessive.
She's my prey. Yeah.
Right. Because they're right. She is his prey. And he loves her. The answer is never so black and white.
And he will have to figure that whole thing out at another time, not here, because right now is the time to do.
Here, things are quite simple for Legoshi. So I like that when one of them brings up something that is a little bit more nuanced and complicated, he's like, I caught you thinking. I know what happened when I got caught thinking on the bridge. Headbutt! And then he just beans the guy. Nose spouting blood, and it's over the top, but it gets like moved in such a way to look like wisps of smell, scent and stuff. It's like, it's so good.
One of the other things I want to bring up in sort of relation to the whole idea of that's creepy. There was something else that the line mentioned, I believe, where he was basically it was like you're tripping or something like that, right?
He said, you're tripping. Yeah,
right.
Stop tripping. Yeah,
right, because it was the smell of of other creatures, right? For carnivores can be like a high, right?
Oh, it's arousing. I'm sure.
Yeah. It's it's totally a thing, right? So here he's seeing Legoshi just sort of like being so calm in a not calm situation, right? That it absolutely throws him for a loop. He's like, what's going on? This is
gross. Like,
it's gross. And that's the way that Legoshi was responding didn't seem to be the kind of thing that you would expect from a carnivore where the smell is associated with prey. And I think this is something that was important, is that there were 2 times that Legoshi smelled Haru's scent, right? One, the time earlier, and he raged out and he, went after the guy's throat, right? Or started to. This time, he didn't do anything, right? And that was after he had sort of reconciled within himself a bit more of his own emotional state and things like that.
He was just enjoying it this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's something where it goes to show that Legoshi in this moment is in a much bigger stage of acceptance, right? Because it's not something where it's creating some extreme reaction. It's,
I mean, this is an extreme reaction, though.
right, but it's extreme in how level it is in a turbulent situation.
I guess, but you could look at it from a perspective of, because you're not responding to the turbulence, you are of yourself having an extreme reaction.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's something to be said where if someone hears a loud noise suddenly and they don't make a move at all, something's slightly off about them, because they should kind of have that little bit of, survival instinct kick in. And in this case here, when he has, a guy's hand on his throat and stuff like that, he's like giving that kind of a face and stuff is kind of interesting. He was also deducing whether or not she's alive at that point, so that was important. But then we get to the highlight of this episode as far as Haru and the mental letter, writing a will in her head. And I love that this was a non-literal instance here, because there's a lot of things that are pure from a perspective standpoint. We've mentioned quite a bit that Haru, only every once in a while do we get like a first-person perspective with regards to her. And a lot of the times when that happens, it's about her trying to guess where the other person is at because of the way her character feels constantly a little bit vulnerable around all these powerful other animals and such. And now we understand why. Well, one, there's the dwarf rabbit thing that was introduced the very first episode in the very beginning, and that just makes sense because we can see her. She's smaller. She's a rabbit. She has no way to defend herself other than running. Like that's something that nature has given her, and not much else.
And it's not just a thing where it's like, all right, in this instant present moment, she's smaller, so that's something that she has to think about. It's my entire life has been this way.
Exactly.
So,
So then she recaps a little bit of how she's been experiencing the time here, and it's brutal. It's awful. But she then starts to question whether or not she deserved this ending. And then we get into the stuff where we find out about her family and the thing that her mother said. Always be prepared. Be prepared. If anything happens, you'll die so easily. This is something that I'm sure if you took the words itself and you took it and translated it a little bit differently, lots of people, when they grow up, have been told similar things like this. It's not the thing of, you'll die necessarily, but it's the be prepared for a world that you can't prepare yourself for. Meaning, like, you can't change anything about this. It's basically saying you're going to go into a world that it's gonna eat you up, basically. And I know a lot of instances where I've seen and heard people talk about this kind of a thing when they were really young, and then it's something that shaped a lot of their outlook with regards to things. But a lot of times there's a nuanced perspective to it that they get over the course of maturation, right? Well, this one here is in more of a, an entertainment thing, a story. So it's a little bit simplified. And that's that, yes, because you're small and you're a dwarf rabbit, and because of the way all the other species are different and are going to look at you, you need to be very careful. You need to be prepared for the idea that if you rock the boat, if you do things a little bit too differently, if you put yourself into any kind of danger, you could die like that. And that's just messed up to have to live in a world like that.
Because it's something that is very helpful from a survival standpoint. Right? Because being aware of those things, right? And like that's probably already saved Haru's actual life. But then there's the idea of what kind of a life do you want to live? Because, man, it would be so easy in that kind of situation to let your entire life be dominated by fear and paranoia, right?
I mean,
because if your life is on the line constantly, then that's only natural.
That's natural, right?
Yeah, and that I feel like that's something that's been sort of referenced or alluded to indirectly with the way that the smaller herbivores will have like their own separate areas and things like that, right? It's sort of like, yeah, we stay in our own little closed off area over here where we don't have to worry about that, right?
Yeah, there's also the convenience angle, but
oh yeah, the convenience angle, and who would want to have to worry about that kind of stuff all the time, right?
You could say those are the amenities of society, actually.
Exactly. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But there's always such a thing as too much of a good thing, right? And if you get to that point where then suddenly you are only comfortable living within this cloistered off area, you might be missing out on some things of what's outside.
Right.
Now, there's reasons why you
don't go there.
You don't go there, right?
You might die.
You might die, but you are missing something, right?
Sure.
And for Haru, it's like, yeah, there's that part of her that maybe doesn't want to have that kind of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she has to be cloistered and things like that. She has to be constantly worrying about her survival. And she found the way that she was able to, be on equal footing with
but it wasn't
people.
But it wasn't her desire that brought her there.
It
was something that she stumbled into accidentally.
Yes.
I think what's really important here, and something that's rather easy to imprint into the narrative here, is regarding the actual desires of the characters being something that's based around certain goals and dreams and desires that we have as people.
Mm-hmm.
And Haru's life has been quite specific in regards to the focus that they're giving in the story, in that she has seen how everyone else treats her.
Yep.
And it's confirmed the narrative that her mother gave her when she was younger.
Right.
Her mother gave her a version that was easy enough to understand for a child, thus that her mother didn't have to explain a lot of the complicated aspects of it.
Sure.
But Haru stumbled into the idea of, someone from her own very similar species, another rabbit, said, I'd like you to be my girlfriend. Didn't do the condescending, you're a little baby cute smile thing. So there was this serious nature to it. So Haru was like, okay, I'll respond positively to that. But then when they're actually having sex and they're enjoying each other as equals in that regard, she's realizing, oh my God, this is somewhere where I can be me. And what we can infer with that is she's never been herself up until that point.
And I think, that was one of the things that I'm glad you brought that up, because in all the flashback stuff, it was always things that other people were doing, never things that Haru was doing. Right? Which makes it seem like, she was just sort of going with the flow. Even when the rabbit confessed to her, she didn't really say anything back. He just ended up kissing her, right? So it's like, let's get Haru to that point where she has enough confidence in her own desires and who she is in order to stand up for herself. Which we've seen some scenes of that.
We have very much seen that over the course of the show.
Yep, and it's been awesome, right? And that's where I feel like she is on the same path as Louis and Legoshi, even if it's in her own unique way, in the same way that they have their own unique journeys. And then also why her interactions with them will be, synergistic or not, based on how they go, right?
Yes, definitely.
And that's why I think that her and Legoshi really could end up, together and having a pretty good relationship because they complement each other.
I still feel like I want them to be friends for a long time before anything of that nature comes to pass.
Oh, sure.
But this act of dramatis, persona from Legoshi is going to do quite a number on her thoughts about him.
Right.
I loved the idea that empathy was a thing that was viewed as a negative. This is something that I don't have hard experience with, but I have soft experience with.
Okay.
One of the things that was rather weird growing up for me was seeing people in areas of pain. Empathy would naturally just, flow out, right?
Yeah.
But there was a method that needed to be applied to the empathy in order for it to be received by the individuals. Just because you have empathy for someone doesn't mean they're necessarily going to want that.
Sure.
And in a lot of ways, you are not so important that your empathy must be given to them.
Right.
They are individuals capable of making their own decisions, and they don't need you necessarily in order for them to, do well or to overcome their struggles, pain, or what have you. So what I remember ended up happening was empathy at points when I would offer it to someone would oftentimes get used in a specific way that I wasn't mature enough in order to basically navigate the social situations there. So empathy for a period of time became something that was actually like dangerous. Because on the giving side of it, I left myself oftentimes a little bit exposed because of the way I would handle things in a lack of maturity. She's talking about it from the standpoint of feeling like receiving people's empathy offers up her opportunities, offers up danger in some ways of being vulnerable. And I feel like that's why when, she's having sex with someone here, for instance, there's not empathy from the standpoint of it being, I want to give something. There's that little bit of selfishness. There's that raw desire in it as well. So they're wanting all of her and who she is in the moment. That's where, the beauty of sex comes in there. So it's something that I feel like we can see her brokenness being brought out and focused on a little bit by how she draws a picture of empathy and connects it to their smiles and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just want to focus on that.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I feel like I've had a fair amount, not anything like Haru, of course, but a fair amount of experience with empathy being a negative thing, like for me personally.
Sure.
Because there's a certain level of like, when it feels like someone sees you as needing to be someone to empathize with, and oftentimes they don't do it very well.
Right.
Then there's not much connection that can happen there because, one, they're walking on eggshells, right? So they're not actually being real with you. And a lot of the times the empathy is actually something that they're using as a shield so that they don't have to feel uncomfortable.
See, that's an intent-based judgment.
That is an intent-based judgment.
That is almost always wrong, though.
I mean, we can't know.
No, but I mean, if you judge intent, most of the times that's where you end up in the weeds.
Right.
And she was doing that here.
Right. And yet,
even though she was probably right a lot of the time.
Right. Yeah. Because there are the times where the empathy coming from a person who really knows you and cares about you and things like that, there's a purpose to it, right? For you specifically. It's not just the fact that you're a person that they see that maybe they think needs empathy, but that because they know you, they're wanting to give empathy to you as an individual, right?
That's rather interesting because that draws a really interesting picture with regards to the idea. If you have someone like, I've known people who just are naturally more empathetic than others, and I would say also quite a bit more obvious the older they are because they stand out a little bit more from the crowd. Because I would say your empathy levels do tend to go down a little bit as you get older. Like it's the whole idea of the crotchety, grumpy old grandpa.
Right.
It's like, I don't care about any of you. I'm just here and I've lived a long life.
Stubborn and
exactly.
all that.
And we kind of find it endearing because it's raw. But there's also something really beautiful about raw empathy that is still touched with a bit of maturity. And I think that that's where people like Haru, for instance, have not really encountered raw empathy. She's encountered curated empathy.
Right.
The idea that
put through a filter.
Well, right, but that's what I think you brought up there was the idea that it has to have a purpose, which I think is very parallel to curated empathy. It's basically saying, I'm going to channel my specific empathy for you, meaning that in some ways, the raw nature of it is a little bit superseded by the idea that it's being channeled into a purpose. And I think for a lot of people, this is just a personality thing. I think that actually doesn't work as well as the raw stuff. Because the raw stuff you might initially get that stone wall of you don't have the option to go there, but it's also a little bit of a testing ground of saying, how real is this? Will you keep offering your empathy with nothing being given back to you in return, with no feedback? Because even if it's just like some person on the street just showing you a kind, empathetic smile, sometimes that can break through your defenses instantly. Even though you know they're doing it just to be a decent person.
Sure.
They do not care about you at all in the like
you as an individual,
sense.
right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Because one of the things I've experienced is that the times when I would really get to the point where I felt like I had a good relationship with a person is actually when we started being selfish with each other.
Yeah.
Because there's the politeness that you get when, you know, like you don't know them that well, right? So you're being polite.
Yep.
And yet if you're like best friends with somebody and they start like being like polite all of a sudden, you'd be like, what the hell? Like what's going on? You know, like it's me, you know. You don't need to say like, you know, please and thank you and, you know, and all that stuff. Like, you know, like it's some required thing. Yeah.
It's what Legoshi's struggling with.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, sumimasen, you know?
Like, so, you know,
being awkward boy, but it's like, dude, eventually you're going to have to grow out of that. Like, and doesn't,
And you need to make sure that you are being careful with when you decide to be selfish and everything and things like that, and in what ways that you're being selfish. But that can be this wonderful invitation of no, we don't have to deal with all the sort of the layers that you would normally need to have in order to have a good, you know, connection with a person and things like that, right? We can just be raw and real here.
So I wanted to bring up something that I wondered about here was when it showed the she's saying I felt like someone had finally accepted me for who I am, and even as I lost friends and others started to scorn me, to me it was still far better than being pitied. Basically, these are other people that she's been physical with, and it doesn't really matter who they are necessarily. It's just the idea that this was her acting out her power in this instance here, and now that everything like that is over, she's kind of just lamenting that if only I'd been able to tell Louis
and what
I really wanted to tell him.
What I love about this is something where she adopted this perspective on life as a result of not liking that people weren't being real with her, right? There was this other layer that she had to be dealing with. But then by doing that, she ended up creating this other layer that ended up being something that actually got in the way, right, for her being able to actually be real and raw with Louis.
Yes.
And that's something where, but in the case of with Legoshi, it doesn't have that layer that's in the way, basically. So, and that, hence why it's the what's with this kid, you know?
I have no idea what he's thinking. He comes at me with every fiber of his being. He's unsociable, doesn't talk much. He's just constantly almost badgering me. Now, this is the angle that I was thinking of the raw side of things, where that he's just coming at this with no maturity, and yet because it's raw and there's no what was the word I was using? Fabricated or no?
Filters was what I was using.
Yeah, filters was what you were using, but basically constructed. It's not fabricated? No. That was the one I just said. But anyway, it's not constructed to appear a specific way.
Right.
He has no idea what he's doing. Now, again, that's something he's going to have to grow out of over time, but he won't know how to grow out of it without trying and failing and thus then getting feedback from healthy people. That's part of the reason why I'm still a little bit worried about their relationship is that it's going to be a lot of failing. I just hope that if they do this, they'll end up failing together and they'll be comfortable enough to do that more. Because it's not just going to suddenly get amazing because of how honest they are.
And in addition to failing together, having their failures be simpatico, you know, be failures that basically, you know, still kind of fit well together, right? Because there are certain failures or, you know, or certain things, certain rough spots for people that don't go well together,
Yeah,
right?
and that's where I don't have as much just optimism regarding that.
Oh, gotcha.
I think if anything, we're going to need to go through a few insimpatico or unsimpatico failures in that regard before we get to any of the, would you kiss my name when the music's over?
I think I'm a lot more optimistic than you.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I want that too. Her moment of defiance here
that was
is
awesome.
Really, really just exciting. I love the way she's like, hey, you were just boasting your head off. I wrote a whole damn will in my head. Now I have no shame. I have no humiliation. And I love that this is her act that she can do here, because it's like, okay, Hara, you're kind of
you do this.
You do this,
but
it could get
it's
worse.
Still a lion that's going to want to eat you.
Yeah,
yeah.
And yet, I love her smile and the action of her eyebrows.
Yeah,
where she's just like, you got nothing on me.
Yeah, you're nothing. You're nobody. Yeah,
King Kong ain't got shit on me. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then we get the entrance of the conquering hero in the moment where she's about to give up,
and then the shattered bits of glass catching the light and everything, and like, oh man.
I love how many times they use this double framing thing to show two characters' facial reactions and stuff like that in these powerful moments. And yet, I said in the reaction, but the fact that they used a soft piano instead of anything triumphant, because this was something that was tender, this was something that spoke deeply to Hara's heart, and Legoshi had won. The fact that he ascended all the way up to here with not killing anyone, with having tamed his beast, and then this is the part that I didn't even really notice until I kind of thought about it in the midst of the ED. When he, gives her his coat, it's almost like he's quickly going, okay, I can't get too close right now. And it's not a decency thing. I think he's so hopped up and fired up about the fact that she's not only his prey, but he is in love with her, that he's also kind of being like, okay, I can't focus on you right now. I've got stuff I need to do. He's keeping things simple, but it is an act of him taming the beast.
Gotcha.
By not like doing anything crazy in the moment.
So my perspective on it is almost completely different.
So I just want you to look and listen to this part here.
Yeah.
Listen to this part where she's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "Huh?" See, look how strained his voice is. And she goes, "The baka!" And it's like, oh, that's just classic. But do you hear how strained his voice is and how he's not looking back at her? He is. Okay. There is a lot of tension going on in him right now.
All right. I totally see what you mean.
What
Go back a little bit further to when he actually like takes off the shirt. When he's like, da-da-da. Oh, wait, okay, so he doesn't say anything.
Nope. He doesn't say anything at all at this point here.
And man, the way that he takes the shirt off is like, all right.
I mean...
Wait, press play again?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, right, that was it.
Yeah, just sorry
if it smells like sweat, but please wear my uniform. So...
It's just adorably wonderful.
So right, and I totally get what you're saying about the tension in his voice, and that is definitely there.
Yeah.
At the same time, the idea that in this situation where there is a lion that is trying to eat him, right?
Well, yeah.
And or at the very least trying to kill him.
Yeah.
He's holding the lion away, and he's thinking, what's the most important thing right now? Oh yeah, my uniform kind of probably smells like sweat, but just wear it, it's fine. Like that totally felt like the most Legoshi thing to do, where his mind is so not focused on like the actual like immediate threat and moment here. It's just you're gonna, I guess you'll have to wear my uniform, I suppose. Hope that's okay.
Right. And also, because of that, he is focused entirely on Haru.
Yes.
And being focused too much on Haru won't allow him to be able to do what needs to be done. So he like rests himself away from Haru in that he's like, no, I can't focus on her. I've got to focus on what's in front of me. And the reasons why are the things that we set up in the beginning of the episode and throughout the ascension of the Leo group's little base here. He's addicted to her smell. He wants her in more ways than one. And that is something that is very present on his mind to the point of creeping out a lion that's strangling him. So then when he finally gets here, he's like, yeah, wear this. Sorry about the sweat. It's adorably funny, but it's also showing, like you said, he's not focused on the lion. So then when she's like, why are you here? She's like demanding his attention. He's like, I too many reasons.
Right. Yeah, that's where I feel like her saying, why are you here? It's like, you can't just ask a complicated question like that, like or an open-ended question like that.
So he says, too many reasons. It's too complicated.
But I like to think that it was something where it wasn't that in this moment he is torn about like internally he's divided or whatever. It's just that once she mentions that, he's like, well, that's a lot.
Calling it so simply as internally divided, I think is completely dumbing down the point of what I was trying to make, is that he doesn't understand his feelings. Of course he's internally divided, but he's not focused on his internals right now. He's focused on Haru.
Right.
So when that whole thing gets brought up of why are you here, he has to look at his internals and he's like, I can't do that now. It's too complicated. So of course he's divided internally. It's just, where is his focus right now? And my thing was that when he got there, his focus suddenly, where he was so using the focus of Haru to channel his efforts to make himself get up here successfully, he did that. And now he's like, oh, can I stay focused on Haru? No, I can't do that. Now that's a problem. So now I've got to use that still. It's just a more aspect of him, I'd say, channeling his self-control to the measure that he's able to get the thing done that he needs to get done. But in the instance of this, I just could hear the strain in his voice.
Because I'm pretty sure that Legoshi would have been happy to just be sitting there and be like, hi.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, yeah.
You mean everything to me.
You're okay,
I don't know what that means, but...
Oh, is there a line? Oh, God.
Sorry, this ain't that kind of romance, buddy, where suddenly the lights play and the violins go crazy and then...
Although...
Just...
But the choice to have him hit the lion with a lamp specifically so that all those little shards, so that one, the light goes out, right? But also so that the little shards of glass go flying everywhere for like the reflections and everything, just to like make a really cool atmosphere for the moment. I love that choice, like because it's something where it's got enough of a practical reason that I believe it that this happened, and yet the reason for why you have that happen is not at all for like the technical stuff of what's going on, but for the presentation of the emotion of what's happening.
Yeah, this is a manga.
Yeah,
and the manga was like, I'm gonna set up like an amazing dramatic scene and moment. And I'm going to capture that freeze framed on some beautiful panels, and now we get to see it animated and glorious with 3D. Absolutely in love with this show, and we get a cliffhanger with a baka.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's not to love? Yeah.
So here's the thing that I'm wondering, right? And we don't have to go deep into this.
Okay, cool.
But given that this is happening and it's gone much better than I would have originally thought,
is it going to get bad now?
Well, not that. I think it could totally happen.
All right.
But if it continues to go well and they manage to get out of this, and Legoshi returns to the school having rescued Haru, and the whole thing was kept under wraps by the people that should have done something to save her, what is going to happen as far as the stories that might get out of this craziness that went down? This show
That's
is
a good
called
point.
Beastars. It's not called Beastar. And
my
while
God.
I don't necessarily
Oh my
think
God,
I don't
wow.
necessarily
I didn't
think
even
that
think about
Legoshi is a Beastar candidate because of his personality. There's a lot of reasons why he might not be popular and things like that. But this is well, from the standpoint of plays and things like that, this is quite a debut.
This is quite a stage.
Yeah, and you know, it's the whole thing where Louis, by not doing anything, you kind of gave him the entire spotlight, and no one would have argued if you were the one who had taken the spotlight. They wouldn't have questioned it. They would have just assumed that that's the natural thing, right?
Louis couldn't have done this.
But yeah, Louis couldn't have done this.
No,
right?
no. Louis absolutely had
could not.
no chance of doing this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. That's the thing that I think has got to be eating him up inside. But hey, y'all, this episode was fantastic, and we're just getting started here. So thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. I know if you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
Yes. Battle Lines is my sci-fi novel. It's awesome. It's on Amazon. The link is in the description down below.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.